Welcome to the first ever Trade Alts Trading Bot update. So in these updates, what I hope to accomplish is to give you a little bit of insight to how I'm managing my trading bot portfolio. I've done a lot of trading bot guides on the how-tos of doing it, but this will be the first in this hopeful series that I'd like to do, where I give you again a bit of insight to how I'm actually managing my bots. So if you're interested in this video, if you think this is something that you might like to see on a regular basis, if you could like the video and subscribe to my channel, it would really help the YouTube algos push my content out there and grow the channel. So of course I would appreciate that. But without further ado, let's get to the video. All right, so trading bot update. My voice, you have to forgive me. I did a hour and 45-minute long live stream with the VIPs just a bit earlier, which I guess I should mention that it is the first of the month, Patreon reset. So it's probably the most opportune time to join VIP. That way you maximize the amount of time that you're in there. But if you're interested in learning technical analysis, if you're interested in trading bots, you want to ask me questions, you're curious about what I'm running, I'm very transparent with everything that I'm running. Typically when I'm getting in and out of bots, I do post it in the VIP bot discussion room and, post why I'm doing it. And Ribsy did a very detailed post to help a new member out today in there as well. So if you're interested in that, there'll be a link in the description below. But let's get on to the trading bot update. So I think it's important to understand kind of what's going on under the hood, right? Going on behind the scenes. And a lot of times, like from what I see in Discord, is that people, they see when things drop drastically, like we've had in May 2021, like we had in very early December. And like people see that we have those drops, but they don't always understand the mechanics behind that. Okay. And not only that, but when things start to reverse and trading bots, if you're, especially your long bots, obviously, they start to get hot again. Big deals that you've had for quite a while. A lot of safety orders being filled. Those are closing. It's like the mechanics of why that's happening, I think, is something that I really want to focus on in these updates and in this channel. Just to give you, again, a better idea for those of you who aren't as experienced in technical analysis, maybe. Well, like showing you the whys behind why things are happening. So the first chart, which you might recognize this, I actually went over this in a recent video. I spent quite a bit of time going over it again in the VIP live stream that I just got out of a couple hours ago. But we're going to switch over to the ETH BTC chart and kind of talk to you a little bit about that. All right, so, well, this is not the ETH BTC chart. This is actually the ETH USD chart. But since I'm here, we actually had the edge-to-edge trade completely basically hit its target. So this also pretty good reason why alts have been strong. This obviously is going to tie into ETH BTC, but ETH USD getting the full edge-to-edge trade that we've been discussing in VIP, and now basically looking for a bit of consolidation within the cloud. I think that's perfectly acceptable. Really want to see this cloud flip bullish, which so far it's still bearish, of course, like waiting for basically your green Senku span A here, bottom of the cloud, to bullishly cross the top of the cloud here, and price to start pushing and closing outside of cloud, so above cloud. If that happens, I am quite bullish on Ethereum. It's hit my target literally just today. I consider this edge-to-edge fulfilled back here, by the way. It's very, very, very close. And if you zoom in, this high that was put in here on March 29th, this is basically the top of cloud as it shifted forward, over a week or so ahead. Like that's very, like that to me is hit. But as nice as it is, we got the full on touch, and you can see where are we rejecting off of? Well, top of cloud. So isn't that nice? So what am I looking for again as far as Ethereum goes? Which, by the way, why am I talking about Ethereum? Because I really, again, is a very good proxy for the altcoin market in general. If Ethereum is strong, very likely alts are strong. So if you want your trading bots, especially if you're running, like most people are running long DCA bots, right? Like you want to see this continue to the upside. You want to see this break resistance and flip into support. And again, if that happens, very likely your favorite altcoin is going to be doing very well as well. So could see a bit of a pullback here. Wouldn't be the end of the world. A little bit of chop. Wait for cloud to flip bullish and then break above and continuation. So that's kind of scenario one. Again, coming into this resistance, it's natural to get, it's just like we had this initial push up. Like I mentioned earlier, you got that pullback. So now again, taking out this high, do we get another bit of a pullback before an actual push outside of cloud? Definitely could happen. But really waiting for price ultimately to close outside of cloud. Then you wait for this bullish Kumo twist here. And then I'll be a lot more bullish on Ethereum for the long term. Now, here's ETH BTC. I'm actually going to switch to, there we go. So I'm going to switch to this. And this might be familiar because I went over this in a video a little while ago. Basically, you can see kind of where these green arrows are and what essentially these arrows are signifying. Okay, so we had this nice trend line here, which go back and look at the date. Well, that's strange. Early December, where ETH BTC put in its top, came up into your golden pocket, untapped weekly, and look at this downtrend that you see here. So I'm going to circle this for you. So you look at this downtrend that started in early December, and you're getting your breakout here 2 weeks ago. So I want you to ask yourself something. 2 questions. How were your bots doing from early December up until a couple weeks ago? I would say that probably for most of you, they've done pretty bad. It's been very slow last few months for trading bots, especially for those of you who got in the market, November, December-ish, like not that great, right? They've been very quiet, very slow, deep in safety orders. And then I'm going to ask you this a different question. But over the last 2 weeks, how have your trading bots been doing? Much better, right? Well, it's kind of no secret if you look ETH versus BTC. And again, if you're not familiar with this pair, it's basically measuring Ethereum versus Bitcoin and the performance. So how is ETH doing versus Bitcoin? And I'll say this. When ETH has showing strength against Bitcoin, typically that's very good for altcoins in general. When ETH is showing weakness, like you see here, coming in, putting in a major top, getting a very substantial downtrend from this high in early December. Again, I would think you'd be hard pressed to argue that altcoins in general. Now there might be single alts that have done better. Like this, I'm just saying in general. Okay, this doesn't specifically apply to like one single altcoin. It's just in general, the altcoin market has been relatively weak. Fast forward to basically where we're breaking out of this downtrend, and this was a very big deal for me, reclaiming this point of control. So not only did we break out of this downtrend, but we broke above this point of control, and you can see from here that we back tested it, flipped this into support, and look at the push that you're getting. So this is over the span of a few weeks, right? So basically from where we broke out of here to today, 16 days. Your bot's been doing the last 16 days pretty good. So I know a lot of my deals closed. A lot of like my long deals, geez, like the record deal that I've ever had closed, which was like November, sometime in November. I think in November 16th. I think it was VET. So VET was the longest bot deal that I've ever had before, and that closed. All of my long deals are closed for the most part, and just to give you, I'll give you a little bit of insight. And this is, I share this live in VIP in real time. But in January, I want to say, like, I'm trying to make sure that I get my time right, but I'm pretty sure the beginning of the year in January, I had 50, I think it was 52 deals that were open. Today, so this is April 1st. So in that 3-month time span, I've reduced I didn't take any, I took 0 losses. It's as my trading bots closed their deals, I had them set to turn off, basically. So I'm down from 52 deals down to 28. So that's where I'm sitting right now. So just to give you an idea again, so I've scaled back a ton. I've scaled my risk back quite a bit, using this nice pump that we're getting again to get out of those deals, which is great. But for the stuff that's really been underperforming, those bot deals I'm closing. and or have closed. And this week is actually going to be a really big week for me. I kind of waited for this, but I am going to go through my entire my entire bot portfolio, and I'm going to redo everything for the most part. There's some that I'm happy with, that are set, as far as which altcoins I'm trading, the settings that I'm using for those. Like, there's some that I'm happy with, I probably won't mess with, but I am looking at adding some risk back onto my portfolio, just simply because the market is showing that it's, it's showing some strength, and I definitely want to make sure that I take advantage of that. But I was being very patient because I wanted to make sure that all of the money that I had tied up in those deals, that they closed, right? And that I'm getting that capital back, so that I don't dial up the risk just because things are looking good. But if some old deals aren't closing and then the market ends up reversing and going to the downside, then I'm going to be potentially in a worse place than I was, a couple months ago. So that's kind of how and why I chose to do what I do. I've been over this in VIP already. But that's kind of where I'm sitting. So anyway, ETH BTC, getting back to this, holding this big range point of control, very important. So you can see we literally broke, back tested support, very nice push off since then. Again, altcoins very well. What happened today, or well, it's still today for me. I know it's technically a new day here, but basically coming up into this region here, this previous high, and finding a bit of resistance around here, right? So it's not perfect. Like, there you go. So coming up into this high, finding a bit of resistance around here, but we did push up, and now we are currently above the overall range. So this range here that you see, we are above the value area high of that range, which is really good. So that's, again, another really nice sign that I'm seeing here. Now, again, taking out this high though, get a little bit of pullback. Okay, I think it's potential, especially with ETH running into, so the ETH USD pair running into resistance. It wouldn't be too surprising to get a little bit of a pullback here. But ultimately, the way things look at the moment looks pretty good. And I do think that ETH versus Bitcoin very well could continue to the upside. So holding this value area high, very important to me. If we come back below, not the end of the world, get a bit of a retracement. But I really, probably looking somewhere back here around like, probably somewhere within this region, just to give you an idea. Something that I'd really like to see held. Somewhere around here. Give you a bit of an idea here. I'd really like to see, if we do come back down, I really would like to see this zone defended. But ultimately, again, this looks pretty good. Do not want to see this level lost. This is pretty clear. Because if this level is lost, so this big range point of control here is 0.0688, then it really does open up for the potential of another push down into this region, which has been really good support here locally. So you can see that we are forming this range here starting back in January, and currently you are at the high of that range, right? So if we do get a pretty significant pullback, we start to lose this point of control, then yes, I do look for another rotation back down. That would not be good for altcoins. I'm just to tell you that right now. So in a way, yeah, I guess we are at resistance, but we did reclaim this value area high for now. This still looks really good to me. And we'll see what ETH does over the next couple of days, right? We hit that edge-to-edge target like I mentioned. So we'll see what it does over the next couple of days. All in all, though, what does that mean? Alts, like the way that they've been the last couple of weeks, especially the last week, this is one of those periods in time where you can almost throw a dart, right? Just throw a dartboard, random dartboard of altcoins, and you pick one of those and you just go long on it and you're winning. Okay, like this is definitely not the time to overthink things. When the market gives you an opportunity, and it's not financial advice, of course, it's just me speaking to myself. But when the market gives you an opportunity like this, take advantage of it, because it's not that often that these periods come, right? Long your longs, and again, take advantage of what the market is giving you, because we know if you zoom back what the market can do to you, and then there's not a whole lot of love here from this high to this low. It was months of basically zero, right? Not a lot of deals closing, and just people sitting there stuck in red bags trying to figure out what they're doing. Now, again, getting out of these deals. If you're dialing up your risk here, I I wouldn't say that's a terrible idea. What I would just say to be a bit careful of is to make sure that your trading bot deals that you might still be currently in, don't forget about those. And for me, part of the reason why I still have been cutting risk, now I'm probably done cutting risk. We're dialing my risk back down again. I was at 52 deals. I'm down to 28 now. Part of like what I'm looking at and like why I am looking at revamping basically my bots, I might even do some different settings, which if I do, I'll definitely share my VIP, of course. But I am looking at potentially changing my settings for what I'm going to be using for the next several months, potentially the rest of the year. I'm just kind of like looking at the market, where I think we're at and where I think we could be headed. I just want to like, there's some things that I want to kind of iron out as far as that goes. But anyway, if you're adding to your risk here, I don't think that it's a bad thing. Obviously the market looks pretty good, but just don't forget about your old bot deals that you may or may not be in. Some people, again, I don't have very many at all that are like really old. I think like everything that I'm in is definitely this year now, which is a good thing considering we're in April. But sorry, hold on one second. But again, everything that I've as far as all of my deals are relatively current, so that's kind of how I want to keep it. Once I get my deals current enough to where I'm happy with where things are, then dialing the risk back up or back up to the higher level makes sense, right? If you're in the camp of like, if you're in a similar position where you have like a lot of your, like you're very current on your bot deals, then yeah, I think like with what the market has been giving, not a terrible idea. But if you're in a position where you still have a ton of red bags, then you have to ask yourself, does it really make a ton of sense to like add, like jack up the risk if you haven't closed out on a lot of those longer term deals? Now, everybody's going to be different. This is where it gets like really difficult to talk about because everybody's situation is drastically different from everybody else's. Depends how much capital you have on the side. If you have a bunch of extra capital that you haven't deployed, then maybe that's one thing. But everybody's situation again is going to be different. So I spoke about ETH, the importance of it in relationship to the altcoin market in general. I spoke about ETH versus BTC, which is Bitcoin, and the importance of this chart. Again, kind of showing you like we're in this massive range, which is fine. But when you have periods like this, where you have just massive declining, again, the market in general is moving lower, right? So ETH was definitely underperforming Bitcoin on this drop as well, which most alts were as well. A lot of weakness. Now you're getting kind of that snapback mean reversion play. So I'm not overly excited here. Just because this could literally be a mean reversion, we could end up rolling over again. Now, I don't think that's like, it's not very likely at the moment from what I'm seeing, but it's certainly a possibility. What do you want to see? So again, to kind of wrap up this chart, I talked about the downside and what I think is very likely to happen if that scenario were to play out. It would be very bad for long bots. And just to be clear, I'm 50-50 on my bots right now. I have half long, half short. My short bots I've been running since January, since the beginning of the year, pretty much. I think it was like third week of January when I started doing those. And it was more for testing purposes, just to be able to speak about them to the community. But they've done a phenomenal job. I'm very glad that I started those. It definitely like helps preserve, the value of that. It's not, if you're not sure what I'm talking about, you can revisit short bots number 9, or it's the trading bot video number 9 where I go over short bots. But I'm happy with how they're performing so far. I'm happy with what I'm seeing. Even on this rise, obviously my short bot, so it's like the opposite of a long bot, right? So you think about a scenario like this, what was happening? Well, your alts were declining, the USD value was declining, filling all your safety orders, and like you're waiting for the push up to get you out of your deal and hit your take profit. Well, short bots just the reverse. So on this rise, a lot of my safety orders on those obviously have been filling. So if the market ends up turning around or getting, a bit of a dump or whatever, then those deals that have been filling up safety orders and building up value there, hopefully hit the take profit eventually, and then I will buy my entire position back. And then the difference between what I bought in at, my average entry, and my take profit, then that's your profit, right? So again, 50-50, short bots, long bots. I'm perfectly happy with that. But I am looking to add more long bots to my portfolio, which I will do this week, and I will post those again live in VIP. Very specific, and I will post why I'm adding those too. So again, ETH BTC, wrap this up. I went over the downside, the upside, a hold and reclaim, so which we're currently doing. Again, we kind of like took this high, which is a little bit, got to pay a little bit of attention to this, because this, what I don't want this to turn into is a swing failure pattern. That happens, you probably will have a pretty nice pullback down to that region that I highlighted. But ultimately is holding this value area high here as support, and then continuing to move up towards this range high, and the that should say new year, not near. Oh no, I'm sorry, no, it says, because it's not perfect. The yearly open, I think, is like slightly above or below this line. That's why I said that. But a move up to this range high is basically what I'd be looking for next. If that was to happen, very good for bots. And again, if you're sitting in a bunch of long bots right now, you're looking to add on risk, what you want to see is this to continue moving this direction. You see that, very likely that your altcoins are going to be doing very well. Trading bots be closing a ton of deals. And then, of course, from a trading perspective, right? Now, again, this is mostly focused on trading bots, so I want to really keep it there. But if you're seeing this happen on ETH BTC, chances are the whole long you're long, right? Throw the dart at the dartboard, and like you're going to see that continue, which is very good. I would say most people like when the number goes up versus going down. So that is Ethereum in a nutshell. Ethereum versus Bitcoin in a nutshell. Why I put a lot of weight and emphasis on this chart when I am looking as far as dictating the general direction of what I think is going to happen with my bots. So to give you an idea, like when I see it coming into major resistance, you're getting that pullback, and you're seeing weakness, chances are your bots, again, are going to be showing weakness. When you're seeing strength in the chart, chances are this is when the long side of things is going to play out a lot nicer. So to give you that bit of information. And this is a chart that we very likely, in these updates, if I do more of these updates, again, if you like these updates so far, definitely please let me know in the comments. That way I know to keep doing these things. But this is a chart we will be focusing on quite a bit in the analysis, because, again, I think it's very relevant. I want to talk about risk and kind of give you a bit of a reminder, right? Because when the market tends to move in this fashion, especially for people who are starting out, who are starting out very recently and haven't, and are new to crypto, haven't really been involved in the market before, I really encourage you to go back, and especially if you're in Discord, which we have a phenomenal community over in Discord and Telegram, but there's people who have been doing this for quite a while now, and obviously myself included, but there are people in our community who are incredibly helpful. And I will tell you that anytime I see these types of moves, now we're relatively early in this move, I think we probably have a bit more upside. Obviously, I'm really watching Ethereum to see kind of what it does, right? So if it pulls back, then yeah, I probably get a bit of pullback in alts as well. But like I'm kind of monitoring Ethereum to see if we do get kind of that long-term trending confirmation that I'm looking for. If that's the case, then yeah, I think like we have quite a bit of ways to go as far as, alt season. I guess you can call it alt season, right? Like a whole nother round of that, which after the kind of downtrend that we've had from when Bitcoin made its all-time high, down all the way down to 33K. I mean, there was really not a lot of reprieve from that. It was basically just down only. So a pretty decent snapback makes sense. The length, the duration of this, I don't, again, it's hard to say right now, but I kind of spilled it a little bit. Like I am looking to add some risk back on. But for those of you, again, who are new, I really encourage you before, so like I say this in video one, but not very, I will say there's a lot of people who actually follow this, which I appreciate. I mean, it's more for like their own good, right? But like I really encourage you to watch all of the bot videos first, because you're going to get as much information. And that those videos were done over quite a period of time. So you'll see, like, I do throw in like a little bit of update into some of those later videos to kind of like talk you through stuff like this. But again, risk is so important to keep yourself in check and make sure that you're not like overdoing it. Because I can't tell you how many times, and the veterans of Discord who have been around for multiple of these instances, whether it be the May, whether it be the May 19th drop, 2021 last year, which we're coming up almost a year on that, or the December drop, that was a very significant one. The people, if you've been through those two events and you're still using trading bots, I'd say by now you're a trading bot veteran. Like you've done it. It's like that's really, I won't say that that's as bad as it gets, because it's not true. It's not as bad as it can get, but it's pretty bad. If you made it through that, then you've really seen, like, you've seen both sides. You've seen the bullish euphoria. You've seen, obviously, like, when the bots are just printing money, hand over fist, just killing it. And you've been through periods like we just got out of a few weeks ago, really where, I mean, we went through a significant downtrend and there was just not much happening, right? Besides safety orders getting filled and people wondering what's going to happen with my red bags. But anyway, the risk part is so, like, no matter what I say, and I say this every single time after we come out of a period of like a massive move to the downside, right? We start to see that green again, and like people get really greedy very quickly, and they tend to have a short memory and forget very quickly what we just got out of, right? And they're like, oh my goodness, finally bots are killing it. Time to dial up the risk game. Like, let's go. Just don't forget. And keep in mind what we just got out of, and that can very well happen again. Like, this might not be it. Because if, like, I'll tell you, kind of like a scenario that not many people really want to hear, but if we come up and basically the market is going to get these relief bounces no matter what. Like, things rarely just go straight down to zero. Okay, now I'm not saying crypto's going to zero. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm just saying, like, the market, I think Bitcoin dropped literally from like 69K down to 32K, 33K. And there was not much of bounce anywhere along the way. I mean, yes, you had like some bounces, you had some ranges, bit of pullbacks here and there, but for the most part, it really was mostly straight down. Like, there was just not a lot. Like, you didn't have any significant retracements. I think right now, what we kind of have to be, like, what we're not out of the woods yet is what I'm saying. Like, what could happen is the market, basically what we're getting is that snapback, the mean reversion, before more downside. Okay, so the point is, if that scenario did play out, where all we're doing right now is we're mean reverting across the market, right? Even look at traditional markets, you look at ES, you look at NASDAQ, like, getting those nice snapback plays. If this ends up being something of that nature, and we roll over again and we start trending to the downside, if you're overextended, if you're adding on a bunch of risk and you haven't got yourself out of those old deals, which, by the way, Ribsy done a great bot video on navigating through red bags and kind of like working your way out of those things. But I think it's a better idea. So if it was me, okay, because I was in this situation like not that long ago, if it was me, if I had to focus on adding a bunch more risk versus clearing up my old deals. Now, again, it's a little bit, this is kind of not a great time because the market's already pushed up pretty well. I would just be very careful of that, because what I don't want to do is compound my problem, right? Now, I'm not saying everybody here, I don't know, everybody's in drastically different situations by far. Some people are, I think, like, some people still have like really deep red bags, depending on what you're trading. There's some altcoins that drop significantly, like people who are botting like Smooth Love Potion, and I'm trying to remember, there were some others like really, really, really bad ones. 1inch, which we actually went over. We went over that in VIP, the live stream earlier today. But like, there are some that, like, there's some people who got stuck in some tremendously unfavorable deals and are still waiting for those deals to close, right? And like, some of them might even be like pretty far away. But again, going back to the risk, just be really careful. And I know the bots haven't done the best job, long bots, short bots were killing it for quite a while. But long bots haven't done the best job of like producing that money, like the profit that people are so anxious to get, right? Which is under, I mean, that's, you're risking capital, you expect to get something out of it. I completely agree and understand that. But just be careful not getting too greedy to try to claw back. It's essentially revenge trading, is what I'm saying. Be careful trying to like overextend yourself just to like make up what the last couple of months hasn't given you either, because like you could get yourself into further problem if the market again turns around pretty sharply, and then you're essentially compounding your situation. So that's what I'd say about that, about risk. It's something that I wanted to touch on. I think that's probably it for the trading bot update. What I mainly wanted to go over was some of like the initial housekeeping stuff. So again, if I'm going to continue to do this video series, which if you like it, again, please like the video. It helps me out a ton. Subscribe to my channel and let me know in the comments again, like, is this something that was helpful, right? So what I wanted to do again is go over Ethereum and mostly Ethereum BTC to show you that, because going forward in this series, that's going to kind of be like one of the main tools that we're going to use to kind of dissect where we're at right now. There's others that I'll speak about later, but ETH BTC is just like a really easy one that's accessible to everybody, by the way. Like, you can, like, anybody can go TradingView, get a free account and look and see where ETH BTC is. And again, so like that's something that I wanted to kind of iron out of the way, get it out of the way. That way we don't have to spend as much time talking about it in future updates. And then I talked to you really where I'm at. I was down from 52 deals down to 28. Currently, as it sits, I'm looking to really like revamp my trading bots as far as which pairs I'm trading. And really, again, I'm long. I literally have, I think I'm exactly split on my long bots and short bots. Like, I have 14 long bots, 14 short bots. The short bots, I'm perfectly happy letting those go. And seeing, like, again, I'm still like in testing phase on that, and I'm happy risking that capital. I'm not that bothered by what happens, right? If you just keep ripping up to the moon, then that's maybe something I might have to look at DCing my way out of later. I don't think that's the case. I think I'm fine. But it's more of like a curiosity thing of seeing like, how do those operate? And then on pumps like this, again, do they generate income? If we start trending very heavily to the downside, obviously, like, it's a little bit different in the sense, like, I mean, there's some like differences. I don't want to get too much into it. But just kind of seeing like how those, like, are those going to become part of my long-term strategy as kind of like diversifying my trading bot portfolio. So again, short bots. But I am going to look to add some new trading pairs. There's some that I've actually, some new altcoins that I haven't looked at before, or they're just getting listed to some exchanges where I'll be able to trade those. So I'll kind of give you a little bit of a hint on which ones those are. But I will again be sharing, of course, in VIP exactly when I add these bots, why I'm adding them, and kind of what I'm looking for, and then probably get a much larger update as I'm doing that. And then, of course, if I change my settings, if I'm changing my settings on that, I will definitely post them in there. And again, kind of like what I'm going for. So I'll share here publicly as well, kind of like what my settings are. So for my long bots, I'm mostly, I think every long bot that I have left, and that I'm perfectly happy with how they've been doing, I am running strong uptrend from video 10. So the strong uptrend settings for video 10, I don't have any issue with those. I think they've done fine during the downtrend as well, to be honest. And like, there was not a lot going on, which I'll talk about. Like, what I'm probably going to do, and again, let me know in the comments if you think this is something that you'd like to do. I'm looking at, in this series, I'd really like to bring on some community members to stream with me. So this will probably be a live stream. But maybe some of the trading bot coaches, if you're interested in that, and then you can learn a bit more about them. But that's probably something that I would like to do. And if there's community members, which I have a few in mind, that I think would be really neat to bring onto a stream like this, and just kind of see like what their trading bot experience is like, kind of what they're looking at, that type of stuff. So that's interesting to you, especially if you're in Discord or Telegram, and if there's any particular members that you think would be really interesting to have on this update, definitely let me know. So I think that's probably it. So I gave my strong uptrend. That's basically what I'm doing at the moment. Majority of it. Again, I'm looking to diversify a little bit. Probably going to change some of those settings, just because I think that there's potential scenarios in the future where I would look to better protect myself, essentially, like have something that works that is a little bit more tailored to what I think kind of like could happen with the market. So the last thing I'll say, and I don't remember if I said this earlier in the video, but the last thing again that I'm going to say, a little bit of information here, is I think like if this uptrend is to continue, which I think it will, if this uptrend is to continue for altcoins to essentially have a continuation move to the upside, when it comes to whose settings is better, this is like, it's kind of like becoming the age-old debate. I don't really care, first of all. Okay, I run what I run because that's what I want to run. Like, I'm comfortable with that. What I will say though is that whoever's settings more than likely are the most aggressive, that's it. And if you think about that for a second, doesn't it make sense? If the market is trending higher, whoever's settings are the most aggressive very likely is going to be the one that's outperforming. The question is though, when the music stops, do those settings protect you? Because it will at some point, as we've experienced multiple times since I started doing these trading bots, right? Like, I've also been trading a lot longer than that, but just from trading bot perspective, since I started my channel and started posting these, we've had multiple times where we've had these massive crashes. Now, I'm not even going to call them pullbacks because they're crashes. Do those aggressive settings, well, it's kind of like in the short term, they're going to be the ones doing the best. But over the long term, and if you're the type of person like me, so again, think of it from my perspective, I don't like to toy with my bots very much. I just like them to make money and leave me alone, pretty much. I'm cool. Like, I don't care if I'm not having like the top tier settings every single time, which again, my settings are pretty good. I'm happy with them. But whoever has the most aggressive settings in a market like this, they're going to win. Like, they're the ones that like are going to be generating the most ROI. It makes sense. But does that strategy, and I'm not knocking anybody's strategy, because by the way, there's like so many, I can't even keep track anymore. There's like hundreds of like different settings by now. Like everybody in the community has their own setting, which is amazing. That's exactly what I was hoping for. Like what I wanted to see as the community developed, right? And continue to grow. It's amazing to see people put so much time and effort into their bots and really come up with settings that they're happy with. Like, that is outstanding. So I'm very proud of that. Like, that's really neat. But I can't possibly keep up though with everybody's different settings and like different variations of settings. Like, we literally have variations upon variations upon variations. Like, you like look through them and it's literally like, there's some similarities of course, but it's like there's so many that you can't keep track. I saw a spreadsheet today that Ribsy shared, and it was crazy. Like, how many, I didn't even like get scroll all the way down because it was just like there's so many out there. But that's the beauty of bots. You find something, you've been doing this long enough, and then you start to really kind of like dive deep into them, kind of like down that rabbit hole, right? And you can like it's really awesome to see, again, like so many people doing that and doing that as well. So I think that covered everything. And a little bit unstructured for this first one, of course. I didn't really have anything in mind. I just kind of want to talk a little bit about where I'm at with the bots and give you, again, that bit of technical analysis that kind of shows you something that you could pay attention to get an idea of when is a better idea to add risk and when is a better idea to de-risk. So I think that's mainly what I want to take across. But anyway, hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Wonderful weekend. And if you like this video, again, please let me know. That way I know, again, continue to do it. And if there's anybody from the community that you would think would be great to bring on to one of these live, really, I like to do these live, honestly. Or if you are in the community and would like to get on one of these streams with me, let me know in the comments. Guys, take care. Trade safe out there. We'll see you on the next one.